When you're approaching a movie sequel, you sort of expect some level of continuity. You'd expect the general shape of the story to reflect what came before, for the tone and the spirit of the original to continue, and for the characters you left at the end of the first chapter to return to, even if half the time they've met a meaty end at the end of the first one. Hey, that's what ghosts are for, right? Unfortunately, through a combination of scheduling conflicts, real-world influences, people just not wanting to return, or even just not being welcome, some actors end up recast or on the scrap heap by the time the sequel comes around. Occasionally, the films actually reference their departures, but even that small grace isn't a given half the time. Hey, out with the old and in with the new is the motto Hollywood lives by, even if the new is just another actor wearing the old one's face for a bit. Whatever floats your boat. I'm Ash from What Culture, and these are 11 actors who won't be returning for upcoming sequels. 11. Will Smith, The Suicide Squad. Now, we're starting this list off with news that has just broken that Will Smith won't be back for The Suicide Squad's next outing. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad isn't strictly a straight sequel. It's more like a rebootquel that has got free rein to change, apart from the caveat that the studio would prefer to see the big stars, primarily Will Smith and Margot Robbie at least, return. Around then, the cast would likely change a lot from David Ayer's version. But now, Smith has had to drop out. According to Variety, Will Smith was offered the return, but scheduling conflicts ultimately meant that he will be unable to. It's an amicable split with no hard feelings though, just one of those things. Warner Brothers now need to decide on whether they're going to recast Deadshot with another actor, or if he's just replaced in the squad by another DC character. Only time will tell. 10. Olivia Munn, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Don't expect to see Psylocke in X-Men Dark Phoenix. Despite the fact that the character, played by Olivia Munn, escaped the plane crash that killed Angel in Apocalypse with her life and evaded the X-Men, she won't be popping up with her Indiana Jones-level whipping to fight them again, or to even join them. Munn has confirmed she's not returning, as well as revealing she has had her wrist firmly slapped previously for sharing secret information on the project, which all turned out to be wrong anyway. Not worth it, eh? Apparently, she was busy filming The Predator and her schedule wouldn't allow her to appear in Dark Phoenix 2. With regards to the movie, Munn's performance was completely fine without being particularly spectacular. But there was some controversy over the decision to put her in a comics-accurate costume, given how sexualized her look has always been. In narrative terms, the fact that she's a loose end is a bit annoying. But there was some suggestion that she might be turning up in an X-Force movie. Probably not now though, what with Disney buying Fox's Marvel characters back and kicking off their own plans, but hey, nice knowing you, Psylocke. 9. Peter Weller, ROBOCOP returns. Despite the trend of original franchise stars returning that's been set by Halloween and will continue with Terminator Dark Fate, it seems that Peter Weller isn't coming back for the ROBOCOP sequel, currently being made by Neil Blomkamp. The original star hasn't been involved in the franchise since ROBOCOP 3, with Joel Kinnaman stepping in for the reboot. Blomkamp had openly expressed his desire to bring Weller back for his most famous role, but Superbro Movies reported back in November that Weller had chosen not to return. It's a big shame, considering the marketability of nostalgia at the minute and the fact that the title suggests a continuation of the original series. But Weller is 71 years old now, and ROBOCOP ain't got time for a bad back, really. 8. Abby Ryder Fortson, Avengers Endgame. She might not exactly be an integral cog in the Avengers movies, but Cassie Lang is an important part of Ant-Man's story. And with the character set to play a key role in Avengers Endgame, you'd think his family might also feature. The good news for fans of Cassie Lang is that she will, but it appears that she won't be played by original actress Abby Ryder Fortson. Ryder Fortson has seemingly been recast, as Endgame introduces an older version of the character. You'd assume that this would be thanks to the time jump that occurs at the start of the film, with the younger Cassie back by the end of the movie, but Ryder Fortson isn't listed in the cast at all. Very interesting. There are some rumours that Marvel are setting up Cassie to become Stature, her hero alter ego in the comics, with a Young Avengers movie coming in Phase 4. That would make a lot of sense and would explain why they've made her older. It's still a little strange that young Cassie isn't being involved still, because the film has to revert back to the present day by the end for Spider-Man Far From Home setting to make any sense. Perhaps it's a case of just too many story elements squeezing her out. We will have to wait and see. Maybe she's just old now, maybe that's it. 7. Common, John Wick 3 Parabellum. Commons Cassian had a story that was left open-ended, even with Wick winning at the end of the day. But we won't be seeing an actor to his fate after the events of Chapter 2. Though he's a loose end, it is not that hard to see why he's been left out by Chad Stahelski this time. There's already a lot of new characters coming into Wick's story as he tries to fight his way out of New York. It's probably just a case of not wanting to have to worry about too many balls in the air. Of course, there is always a possibility that we'll see him back for another sequel in the future though. It's not like the whole cast of Parabellum is going to make it out alive after all, not with John Wick around. 6. Gabrielle Union. Bad Boys for Life. While the Bad Boys universe is actually bigger than just the first 2 movies thanks to spin-off TV show LA's Finest, it doesn't appear that new directors Adil El Arbi and Bill Al Fallah are particularly bothered about referencing the fact. LA's Finest spun out of Bad Boys 2 and follows Sid Burnett, introduced as Marcus's sister and Mike's love interest and revealed to be an undercover agent infiltrating a drug ring. In the show, she teams up with Detective Nancy McKenna, but there's no sign of a Bad Boys crossover. Union also confirmed that she hasn't been called about Bad Boys for Life, which is now filming even though she says she would have been happy to appear. It probably doesn't mean a great deal unfortunately, as she's clearly not still with Mike. LA's Finest has established this by a lack of Will Smith, and knowing this franchise, she'll just be replaced with another love interest. 5. Don Rickles. Toy Story 4. Sadly, some upcoming sequels will be without key characters because of the deaths of the actors behind them. Ghostbusters 3 will definitely be without Harold Ramis, for example, and Star Trek 4 will not feature the tragically gone Anton Yelchin. But in both of those cases, the films will have entered production knowing the characters would not return. Toy Story 4 will be missing a key character because one of the intended cast members, Don Rickles, who played Mr. Potato Head, died in 2017, long after the project was already announced. Unfortunately, he hadn't recorded any of his lines at the time of his death, and Pixar have seemingly cut his character entirely. The fact that Pixar have chosen not to recast Rickles with a sound-alike as they did for Slinky when Jim Varney died suggests that Mr. Potato Head's role will simply have been taken on by another character or dropped entirely. We can undoubtedly expect there to be some sort of tribute to the starchy star at the very least though. 4. Michelle Rodriguez. Avatar 2. Just as nobody thought there could possibly be 4 more Avatar movies anywhere but in James Cameron's brain, Avatar 2 is pulling off some impossible moves. Interestingly, that includes bringing 2 dead characters back from the other side, since Stephen Lang and Sigourney Weaver are both involved somehow. I thought you were in a tree, Sigourney! But even with the rules of mortality not applying, Cameron wasn't as keen to bring every character back. According to Michelle Rodriguez, the director didn't bother asking her. Rodriguez's character Trudy wasn't exactly integral to the film, to be fair, even though she played a role in the climactic action. Leaving her out will mean very little to the wider mythology of the sequels, even if it does seem a bit unfair. 3. Kerry McGillis. Top Gun Maverick. Back in 1986, Tom Cruise and Kerry McGillis were the romantic couple of the moment, thanks to Top Gun's infectious portrayal of their characters falling in love. Aww. There was singing and cocky motorcycle riding, and basically, if you were fantasizing about someone famous in 1986, it was probably one of the two. Or both of them. But the power couple aren't coming back for Top Gun Maverick, unfortunately. Cruise will return as Maverick, of course, but McGillis wasn't invited back, despite expressing a desire to return as Charlie Blackwood. This means that Maverick and Charlie presumably split up at some point over the past 30 years, and that's assuming she's even still alive in universe, and it looks like Jennifer Connelly's new character will be the upcoming love interest for Cruise's now Captain Mitchell. Sad times. 2. Sylvester Stallone. Creed 3. The Creed movies have been incredibly good considering expectations for Rocky sequels dropped considerably after the 5th chapter. And as much as their focus on Adonis Creed's story is now a great new avenue, Rocky's presence has been an important part. Both movies were as much about Rocky's post-boxing career as they are about Creed's life. But that much will change in the 3rd Creed movie, as Sylvester Stallone has confirmed that he is stepping away from the franchise in an emotionally loaded Instagram post. Sly revealed his intention to retire Rocky, and I quote, "Though it breaks my heart, sadly all things must pass and end. I love you kind and generous people, and the most wonderful thing of all is that Rocky will never die because he lives on in you." Consider the torch passed. Creed no longer needs Rocky even as a coach. It'd be wrong to continue having sequels where Creed simply fights the sons of Rocky's most famous opponents, and as long as he sticks around, that's exactly what fans are going to call for. It's right to continue onwards, and with Creed now no longer living near Rocky, it's been done. 1. Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean. For now, the status of the new Pirates of the Caribbean film is still a little vague. The fifth film set up a direct sequel thanks to the stinger of squid-faced Davy Jones reappearing. Don't question it, just accept it. But Disney's new plan is to start telling stories under the new Pirates of the Caribbean banner. Rumour has it that the sixth movie will be a reboot of sorts. In other words, they're going to continue making these movies, but no longer want them to be all about Captain Jack Sparrow. They've effectively thanked Johnny Depp for his service and stated their intention to replace him as the star. That's bearing in mind that up until the fifth movie, Jack Sparrow was very much the entire marketing pull for the franchise. That did swing slightly with Dead Men Tell No Tales and Salazar's Revenge as public opinion on Depp did shift. But it's still a bold move by Disney to assume that the franchise has appeal without its star character. And really, there's surely no way they can recast Sparrow. He's too closely tied to Depp, and even when he was straying into pantomime territory with his performance, he was still pretty effortlessly watchable. This franchise was his show. A reboot or continuation without him is as brave as it is potentially misguided. Oh well, there's more rum to go around at least. And that's our list. How do you feel about these missing actors? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. I've been Ash and this has been What Culture. Make sure to subscribe to the What Culture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. Thanks for watching.